Welcome to Shattering Story Collection, your gateway to enthralling dark fantasy tales. Prepare to embark on journeys that will ignite your imagination. Don't wait. Show your support by liking and subscribing. Join our community of avid listeners and let the stories begin.
Vengeance Embrace, Chapter 8. Under the roof of the inn that night, the Vikings lay in uneasy slumber, their weary bodies seeking rest wherever they found space, their nerves uneasy with the peace of the town at night after so many trying nights since they hit land. The stillness was shattered by a haunting wail that sliced through the air like a blade, the eerie sound of a banshee's cry reverberating through the darkness. It was a sound. "Where are you going?" The Jarl gave an order to grab the children, she shouted, her tone sharp with a demand for answers. A large hand shoves her aside as the large man grunted, leaving without an explanation. Inside a dimly lit home, the doctor worked diligently to finish stitching Ulrich's wounds shut, wrapping them with care as the boy lay in a peaceful slumber. The doctor's eyes sparkled with a mixture of professional satisfaction and excitement as he gazed at his latest acquisition, a small kraken fang carefully preserved in a jar, flanked by other jars filled with lifeless leeches used to suck the poison from Ulrich's body and mysterious green fluids which was the poison. Panic seized the townspeople as they fled, their voices carrying the fear-laden warning of a dreadful Nukkalavi, a malevolent creature that had descended upon their town. In the enveloping mist, the Jarl and the archer commander maintained a vigilant watch, their concern for their missing companion etched on their faces. The large man's absence was a glaring gap in their unity, a silent void that left them vulnerable. Abruptly, the stillness was shattered by a sound that sliced through the air like a dagger's edge, a sound both familiar and ominous. The archer commander's eyes met the Jarl's, their shared apprehension a testament to the source of the sound that haunted their thoughts. The Jarl's gaze shifted, his eyes locking onto a figure that materialized from the fog, a spectre of death incarnate, its form obscured by the mist. His breath caught in his throat as he stared at the nightmarish vision, a presence that reeked of malevolence and darkness. In the midst of their dread, a grim tableau lay at their feet, a pair of servers, their lifeless forms rolled to a stop by the Jarl's feet. Their faces were a reflection of their last moments, their expressions forever etched with the twisted dance of fear and shock. The archer commander's voice cut through the tension, her words a breathless whisper that held the weight of their reality. "It's here," she muttered, her tone carrying a mixture of urgency and resignation. The truth had become inescapable. The danger they had been running from had caught up to them, shrouded in the enigma of the fog. As the fog clung to the landscape like a malevolent shroud, the tension in the air was palpable, a symphony of unease that resonated through the scene. The Jarl and the archer commander stood united. Amidst the suffocating fog, the Jarl's thoughts raced, his mind a chaotic whirlwind of emotions and strategies. The archer commander's voice snapped him back to reality, her words a desperate plea for action. "We need to move," she urged, her tone infused with a raw urgency that spurred them into motion. As they turned to retreat, a guttural sound echoed through the fog, a chilling reminder that their every step was shadowed by the lurking presence of the unknown. The fog seemed to close in around them, a tightening grip that mirrored the vise of fear that clenched their hearts. Their escape was a frantic dance, their footsteps echoing with the rhythm of their heartbeat. The fog obscured their vision, transforming the familiar landscape into a labyrinth of uncertainty. Each twist and turn carried the weight of life and death, a roulette of fate that hung in the air like a suspended blade. Through the fog, a momentary reprieve emerged, a clearing that offered a brief respite from the suffocating embrace of the mist. The archer commander's breathless voice sliced through the tension, her words a thread of hope woven amidst the chaos. "We can't stop. We need to find safety," she implored, her tone a steady anchor in the tumultuous sea of their circumstances. But safety remained elusive, a distant spectre that tantalized with its promise. The fog seemed to stretch endlessly, a relentless adversary that clung to their every move. The presence of the unknown was a haunting spectre, an enigma that defied their understanding, leaving them to navigate a world that had transformed into a surreal nightmare. In the distance, a dim light flickered like a beacon of hope, its promise of sanctuary a lifeline in the abyss. The Archer commander's gaze locked onto the light, her determination renewed as she led the way, the Jarl close on her heels. As they neared the source of light, their eyes widened in realization, a dilapidated building, its structure a mixture of decay and desolation. The Archer commander's voice was a mix of caution and desperation. "We have to make it inside," she urged, her words a fervent plea as they crossed the threshold of the building, seeking refuge from the relentless fog. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of dampness and decay, the building's walls a testament to the passage of time and neglect. The Archer commander's eyes scanned their surroundings, her senses on high alert. The Jarl's gaze met hers, their unspoken understanding a testament to their unity in the face of the unknown. But safety was a fleeting concept, a fragile illusion that crumbled with the sound of the door creaking shut. The fog had invaded their sanctuary, its tendrils curling around their refuge like serpents of darkness. The Archer commander's voice held a note of desperation, her words punctuated by the reality of their situation. "It's here with us," she whispered, the weight of the truth settling over them like a suffocating blanket. As the fog seeped into every corner of their refuge, the building's walls seemed to close in around them, a prison of uncertainty. The Jarl's breath was ragged, his heart pounding as he grappled with the harsh reality of their circumstances. The spectre of death incarnate had become an inescapable companion, its presence a relentless reminder that danger lurked at every turn. Outside, the fog hung like a shroud, its tendrils intertwining with the darkness to create an abyss that swallowed everything in its path. The server's lifeless forms were a silent testament to the malevolent force that had overtaken their world, leaving them trapped in a nightmare from which there seemed to be no escape. In the face of the unknown, the Jarl and the Archer commander stood united, their resolve unwavering despite the overwhelming odds. The fog may have obscured their vision, but it could not extinguish the spark of defiance that burned within them. As they faced the enigma of their situation, their emotions intertwined with the shifting landscape, creating a narrative of suspense and survival that pulsed with the heartbeat of their journey. Jarl's voice rang out, a mixture of frustration and urgency as he grappled with the unsettling situation. And then, from within the shrouded veil of fog, a nightmarish figure emerged, a grotesque manifestation of terror and malice. The Jarl's gaze locked onto the horror before him, a skinless humanoid creature with a twisted, horse-like body, its elongated arms and bony hands trailing in the dirt, its unsettling horsehead affixed to its grotesque torso. The horse had no eyes but one large, yellow, bloodshot eye on its forehead as it galloped forward. The stench that emanated from the creature was unbearable, a putrid odor that carried the weight of blight and corruption. In the face of such an abomination, the Jarl's instincts kicked in, his urgency palpable as he shouted in hopes that his crew could hear him. His voice carried a note of command laced with fear. The urgency of the moment spurred them into action, the Vikings pulling on the ropes that bound the children as they retreated into the safety of the woods, leaving behind a scene of panic and chaos. Their hopes of their leaders surviving the unforeseen encounter urged them to return, but they also needed to trust in their leader's strength. The Nukkalavi's presence left an indelible mark on the town, its terrifying visage etched into the collective memory. As the group withdrew into the shadows of the woods, the fear and uncertainty they felt mirrored the darkness that loomed, an ominous reminder that the world held unknown terrors that could strike at any moment, shattering their illusions of safety and exposing the fragile threads that held their lives together. Jarl and the Archer Commander readied their weapons, standing between the Deathbringer and their crew. Amidst the chaos and fog-laden night, the large man bolted across the dimly lit street, his footsteps a desperate rhythm that matched the racing of his heart. He clutched Ulrich tightly, his arms forming a protective cocoon around the young boy. An unexpected sight stopped the large man from his escape, witnessing the Jarl and the Archer Commander locked in an intense combat with a 3-meter-tall abomination from hell. In the shrouded mist, a fierce battle unfurled against the Nukkalevi. The two Vikings unite against the nightmare, a Jarl with a sword leading the charge, an Archer Commander with lethal accuracy. Their strikes were a symphony of defiance, each blow an echo of their bravery. The Nukkalevi, a malevolent creature, fought with a frenzy, its monstrous form a blur of malevolence. The clash was an onslaught of steel, the Vikings pushing back against the darkness that threatened to consume them. Amidst the chaos, a moment of vulnerability passed, but their unity steadied them. Amidst the frenzy of battle, a pivotal moment arrived when the Nukkalevi seemed to gain an unrelenting upper hand against the Jarl and the Archer Commander. The air crackled with tension, each heartbeat a resonating drumbeat of desperation as the duo fought to defy their impending demise. The Jarl's sword, once an extension of his strength, now felt like an anchor, heavy and unyielding as he parried the Nukkalevi's vicious onslaught. His arms strained under the pressure, each clash a jarring reminder of the creature's raw power. His breath came in ragged gasps, his lungs aching with the effort to keep pace with the relentless onslaught. Beside him, the Archer Commander's movements were a dance of desperation, her bowstring singing as she fought to fend off the Nukkalevi's assault. Her once unerring aim faltered in the face of the creature's unpredictable strikes, the fog distorting her vision like a twisted illusion. Her heart hammered against her ribs, a frantic tempo that mirrored the rush of danger that surrounded her. With a chilling howl, the Nukkalevi surged forward, a maelstrom of bony limbs and malice. The Jarl's defense wavered for a breathless moment, his grip slipping on his sword's hilt. In that heartbeat of vulnerability, the Nukkalevi's elongated arm shot forward like a viper's strike, its twisted fingers seeking purchase on the Jarl's armor-clad torso. The Archer Commander's arrows missed their mark, the fog weaving an enigmatic tapestry that defied her aim. She felt the Nukkalevi's presence at her flank, its putrid stench mingling with the tang of fear in her nostrils. Her fingers trembled against the bowstring, her muscles aching with the strain of maintaining her defenses. As the Nukkalevi's bony claws grazed the Jarl's armor, a surge of panic shot through his veins, his instincts screaming danger. The creature's malevolent presence seemed to swell, casting a shadow of doom over their struggle. The Archer Commander's heart pounded in her chest, her focus sharpening as she tried to discern a path to victory within the chaos. In a desperate lunge, the Nukkalevi's twisted form closed the gap, its skinless skull contorted in a grotesque smile of triumph. The Jarl's sword was knocked from his grasp, the impact reverberating through his limbs like an electric shock. He staggered back, his mind a whirlwind of fear and resolve as he fought to regain his footing. The Archer Commander's breath hitched as the Nukkalevi's bony fingers brushed against her arm, its touch sending a shiver of revulsion down her spine. Her heart raced, the world around her narrowing to a tunnel of urgency as she sought to counter the creature's relentless advance. In that heartbeat of vulnerability, the Nukkalevi's victory felt like a tangible presence, its malevolent force pressing against the Jarl and the Archer Commander like an unyielding weight. The rush of near death surged through their veins, each second an eternity as they grappled with the reality of their vulnerability. As their defenses wavered, the Nukkalevi's eerie cries seemed to meld with the fog, creating an unbreakable symphony of doom that echoed their impending defeat. The Jarl and the Archer Commander were on the brink, their desperation driving them to find the strength to push back against the tide of darkness. The battle hung in the balance, a testament to their resilience and the unbreakable spirit that defined their fight for survival. Amid the chaos of battle, a heart-stopping moment unfolded when the Nukkalavi's victory seemed certain. Its twisted form poised to deliver the final, devastating blow against the Jarl and the Archer commander. The air was heavy with the weight of impending doom, a shroud of darkness that threatened to snuff out their defiance. The Nukkalavi's bony fingers reached out like talons, its malevolent grin contorted in a promise of annihilation. The Jarl and the Archer commander braced for impact, their breath held in a tenuous suspension of time. The edge of death loomed close, a precipice that threatened to swallow them whole. In that crucial moment, just as despair seemed inevitable, a sudden tremor reverberated through the battlefield. A shadow emerged, swift and resolute, as the large man materialized with his double-sided axe in hand. His presence was a beacon of hope, a defiant stand against the encroaching darkness. With a roar that resonated like thunder, the large man charged forward, his axe a blur of deadly determination. His movements were a symphony of brute strength and unwavering courage, each swing a testament to his resolve. The Nukkalavi recoiled, its grotesque form repelled by the sheer force of his onslaught. Amidst the clash of steel and bone, the Archer commander's gaze locked onto the large man's towering form. His defiance was a lifeline, a surge of inspiration that fueled her own determination. Beside her, the Jarl's eyes widened in disbelief and gratitude, his heart pounding with a mixture of awe and relief. The large man's every movement was a testament to his will to protect, his axe a guardian's shield against the Nukkalavi's relentless assault. Yet his defense was not without its vulnerabilities, his blows a calculated dance on the razor's edge between life and death. The stakes had never been higher, the rush of survival, an all-encompassing pulse that drowned out the chaos around them. As the large man fought to repel the Nukkalavi, his other arm cradled Ulrich, the young boy whose innocence stood in stark contrast to the horror of the battle. His presence added a layer of urgency to the fight, a reminder of the fragile thread that bound them to hope and a future beyond the darkness. The clash between the large man and the Nukkalavi was a torrent of steel and fury, their movements a symphony of desperation and defiance. The battlefield became a canvas of struggle, each swing of the axe a stroke of defiance against the looming spectre of death. The Archer commander and the Jarl fought to regroup, their minds a whirlwind of emotions as they sought to contribute to the struggle for survival. Through the haze of battle, the large man's eyes locked onto Ulrich's, a promise of protection that transcended the chaos. His every action was infused with a singular purpose, to shield the innocent from the horrors that threatened to consume them all. The Nukkalavi's shrieks of frustration filled the air, a testament to the large man's unyielding stand. With a final, powerful swing, he managed to force the creature back, creating a temporary respite from the unrelenting assault. The air seemed to vibrate with tension, each heartbeat echoing the fierce struggle that had unfolded. As the dust settled, the large man's gaze shifted to the Jarl and the Archer commander, his breath heavy and labored. The Nukkalavi's presence still loomed, a reminder that the battle was far from over. Nukkalavi, with its nightmarish presence, galloped towards them with relentless speed, its approach sending a jolt of terror through the air. As the sky grew heavy with ominous clouds, a distant rumble of thunder echoed through the air, heralding the approaching storm. Raindrops began to fall, slow and deliberate, their impact like the first eerie notes of a haunting melody. The Nukkalavi's presence seemed to amplify the very elements, its malevolent energy intertwining with the impending tempest. And then it came, a sound so primal, so inhuman, that it cut through the atmosphere like a blade. The Nukkalavi's shout reverberated with a force that shook the ground beneath their feet, a deafening proclamation of its dominion over terror. The air seemed to shiver in response, the very fabric of reality quivering before its might. In the midst of the chaos, the Nukkalavi's form surged forward, its monstrous shape a grotesque tapestry of horror. Its horse-like mouth yawned open, a gaping maw that mirrored the abyss of nightmares. With each galloping stride, it carved a path of dread, its presence an unstoppable force of malevolence. The town's structures seemed to cower before the Nuckelavee onslaught, as if recoiling from the touch of pure evil. And then, with a final galloping burst, the monster disappeared into the distance, leaving only an echo of its ominous call to linger in the air. Its retreat was a chilling reminder of the power it wielded, a macabre symphony that resonated in the souls of those who bore witness. As the first raindrops fell, they mingled with the fog, creating an otherworldly mist that clung to the town like a shroud. But as the rainfall intensified, a transformation occurred. The fog, once a barrier that concealed the horrors beneath, began to dissipate. The rain acted as a cleansing agent, unraveling the enigma of the Nuckelavee's rampage. And as the fog lifted, a scene of devastation emerged, a town scarred by the monster's fury. Buildings lay in ruins, their splintered remains bearing witness to the relentless assault. The streets were a canvas of destruction, each step revealing the footprint of chaos left behind. Amidst the wreckage, the fallen bodies were a haunting testament to the cost of the battle. Each life lost was a story cut short, a tragedy etched into the very earth they lay upon. The rain fell, its drops mingling with tears shed for the fallen, a lament for the lives stolen by the Nuckelavee's rampage. In the midst of the aftermath, the townspeople emerged from their shelters, their expressions a mix of shock, grief, and resilience. The rain fell upon their upturned faces, a bittersweet baptism that marked their survival. They gathered together, a community bound by shared trauma, their strength drawn from the bonds forged in the crucible of tragedy. The rain continued to fall, its rhythm a somber backdrop to the scene of loss and determination. The sky remained overcast, a reflection of the emotions that hung heavy in the air. And as the town began to rebuild, their actions became a defiance against the darkness that had descended upon them. The raindrops, like tears of the heavens, bore witness to the pain and the promise of renewal. The Nuckelavee's departure had left scars, both visible and unseen, but it had also ignited a fire within the hearts of the survivors. They would rebuild, they would remember, and they would stand as a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity, even in the face of the most horrifying of trials. Amidst the heavy downpour, the large man provided a shield for the Jarl, guiding him into the shelter of the forest as dawn's light crept through the stormy skies. By their side, the archer commander soldiered on, nursing her arm's wounds with every step, her determination unbroken. The forest, usually vibrant, now stood cloaked in rain-soaked gloom. Each drop of rain played a melancholic tune on leaves and branches, echoing the trio's shared pain. As they pressed forward, their unity shone through, the large man's protective presence a steadfast refuge. The Jarls found his crew, and the children tied in ropes. The crew stood ready for the Jarl's orders,